free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya.
Sorry, I was muted. Here's the deal, guys. I'm live on YouTube right now. Was not at all planning on doing any sort of podcast today. I usually do podcasts on Monday and Friday. But today, the news that just broke right now, we gotta do an impromptu spur of the moment episode. Shocking news from the Tennessee Titans just literally minutes ago. As I'm recording this in real time, it is 11:25 Central Time, and the Tennessee Titans have just fired General Manager Jon Robinson. I am absolutely floored at this. I've got Twitter open just to see what is going on. Today is about to be wild. Titans fans, they have to have a press conference. The story will start to trickle out about why exactly this happened now in pure disbelief. So here's a statement. I haven't seen this. Here's a statement from Amy Adams Strunk on the firing of GM Jon Robinson. Since becoming controlling owner, this is from Amy, since becoming controlling owner in 2015, my goal has been to raise the standard for what is expected in all facets of our organization. I believe we have made significant progress both on and off the field through investments in leadership, personnel, and new ideas. This progress includes the core of our business, the football team itself, which is regularly evaluated both by results, wins and losses, and team construction / roster building. I am proud of what we have accomplished in my 8 seasons of ownership, but I believe there's more to be done and higher aspirations to be met. I want to thank Jon for his dedicated work to set this organization on an upward trajectory, and I wish him and his family the best. I have absolutely no idea. I'm scrolling Twitter right now, and I am seeing like what is going on. I considered the fact that like there may be like a scandal involved with Jon Robinson. Maybe he like had some secret thing going on. But according to that statement from Amy Adams Strunk, and you guys in the comments, let me know you're here. Let me know your thoughts on this. Devontae Jones said, yes, Lord. I'm so happy. I'm seeing differing viewpoints, and you guys that are jumping on YouTube, be sure to click the like button if you would. I would appreciate that. But I'm seeing differing viewpoints. There are some people who are thrilled at this. There are some people who are like disappointed. I think everybody's shocked, though. I think everybody is surprised. I don't think anybody was expecting this. I have not had any time to think of what I want to say about this because it just happened within the last 10 minutes, and then I hopped on here to record. Like I said, I wasn't planning on doing a podcast today, but this happened, and it's like I gotta do something, you know. I'm shocked, but here's the thing. As I sit here in real time reacting to this news, all I can think of is the night that A.J. Brown was traded and the reaction of Mike Vrabel. I talked about it on the podcast that I did yesterday, recapping the Eagles game. The reaction of Mike Vrabel to the A.J. Brown trade. You all saw it. He looked disgusted. And I thought people may have been making too much of it. That people may have just kind of read his body language wrong. But the more you look back on it, he seemed disgusted with that trade. And as he should have been, because as we saw Sunday, AJ absolutely torched this team and proved to everyone that indeed it was a stupid idea to trade AJ Brown. But here's my question about that. And some of you watching, some of you listening out there may know more about it than I do. But does Amy Adams Strunk, does she not have something to do with that? Like, is she not in the know, or is she literally, is it one of those things where it's like, J-Rob, this is all on you? Is J-Rob being used as a scapegoat, or is this them saying, hey, this is his doing? And don't get me wrong, it's not just about AJ. I think AJ going off Sunday probably just added so much fuel to the fire, but I saw Tyler from Locked On Titans podcast, great Twitter account for Titans content that you need to go check out. He's just got such great stuff on there. But he talked about how every one of J-Rob's failures were on full display Sunday. Every one of them. It's not just AJ. AJ was the biggest one probably, but the lack of corner depth, the fact that we did nothing to improve our offensive line. I know you had no way to know that Taylor Lewan was going to get hurt in week 2, but like the fact that, you know, we've got an offensive line that is literally a liability to this team. It's like, that's a glaring failure for Jon Robinson, and I think it was all on full display. And I don't know. You guys give me your feedback on this, but do you guys think it's possible? Because I've seen some people on Twitter speculating. You guys go follow me on Twitter, Two Tone Talk Podcast. But I've seen people speculating on Twitter that, you know, do you think Vrabel went to Amy and was like, listen, it's either him or me. It's either him or me. Because in spite of everything that happened Sunday, and maybe I don't agree with every single thing he says, I believe Mike Vrabel is a very good football coach. I think he is very good at his job. And I've started to think, like, Vrabel might have this team looking, for the last few years, looking better than they should have. I mean, is this kind of viewed as a thing where Vrabel has kind of bailed Jon Robinson out by just being a good coach and being able to overcome? But the thing is that's hard for me, as much as I love Vrabel, does Vrabel not bear some responsibility? I mean, I know, you know, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but if you're the head coach, you know, I guess there could be a possibility that maybe you're suggesting stuff to try and help the team, and Jon's just not going for it. I mean, I guess Jon would have the final say, but I don't know. I don't know what you guys' view of that is. If Vrabel would bear some responsibility for the A.J. Brown trade, the lack of corner depth, the lack of wide receiver depth. I mean, we've wondered, and I'm going to keep refreshing Twitter to see if there's any updates, because I'm literally live right now seeing what, you know, Bussin' with the Boys. This is from the Bussin' with the Boys podcast Twitter account. They uploaded the video clip of Vrabel's reaction to A.J. Brown's trade. And they said, with Robinson being fired, it really makes you think about this moment after the A.J. Brown trade. Was that the moment where, because listen, if Vrabel went to Amy Adams and said, listen, it's either him or me. Like, it's either him or me. We don't know if J-Rob and Vrabel, you know, were having disagreements behind closed doors. But if he said it's either him or me, Amy Adams would be an idiot not to choose Vrabel over Jon Robinson. Vrabel, he's too good of a coach to just be like, well, I'm keeping J-Rob and you're out here. That would be the dumbest. That would be even dumber than the A.J. Brown trade. Somebody here on YouTube, SB, said, if it was between Vrabel and J-Rob, then I agree with the decision. It's just hard to fire a guy after never having a losing season and consistently. Yeah, I think that one thing I like is that I do like the message that it sends from Amy Adams that says, hey, yeah, we're going to win our division for the third year in a row, but I understand we're in a bad division, and we're fortunate to be in a division with the Texans, the Jags, and the Colts. I like the message that it sends that pretty much says this isn't good enough. What we're doing isn't good enough to just win the AFC South and then get put out. We want to win Super Bowls just like everybody else. We've got a new stadium being built. The Super Bowl is going to be coming to Nashville at some point. We want the Titans to be more than just the team that gets put out in the first round of the playoffs because they won their division by default. And I think I like that message. I like that attitude that says this isn't good enough, and I hope that that Vrabel is going to have a major voice in who they hire, to be the next GM, which I know they're putting in an interim person, and then this offseason will obviously be when they make that hire, because it's a unique position. The Titans are in first place in their division. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they just fired their... I mean, you don't see this every day. But I like the fact, because I don't want an owner and a head coach that are going to say, well, we're what we're doing right now is good enough. What we're doing is good enough, and we're at the top of our division. We know better than that. We know they're in a bad division, and we know that as things stand right now, they cannot compare with the heavyweights of the AFC. And I think in some ways this was a way of, admitting that and saying, hey, and my question again would be, and I would love feedback, from you guys, but is this the type of thing where, is J-Rob being used as a scapegoat? Does Vrabel not bear some responsibility? Does Amy not bear some responsibility for the team that's been formed? I don't know. Tennessee Titans official Twitter just shared the statement that I read earlier from Amy Adams. If you weren't on here for that, you can go read it on somewhere. I said, somebody just commented on my other episode on YouTube just now, and said, they said, I think Amy watched your video, because I said, I did a video in my car after the Titans-Eagles game on my main channel where I just ranted about how things were looking for the Titans, and I said J-Rob should have to answer for this. John Robinson, and what I meant was that he should have to talk to the media. That's what I meant. I meant he should have to talk to the media about, this showing today with A.J. Brown and with the secondary and the offensive line. He should have to respond to this. I didn't know he was going to have to answer for it in this way. I don't know. It's something. I can't believe this. I would have never thought this would happen. Now, if you would have told me, like, John Robinson's going to get fired once the season's over, that would have been more feasible. But to do it today, I mean, that tells me there were some things going on. There had to be some things going on behind closed doors, some disagreements between Vrabel and Robinson, and that's what I lean toward. I feel like to make this move today, I feel like Vrabel had to go to Amy and say, I cannot work with this anymore. And if you don't let him go, you're going to have to let me go. And, of course, then at that point, it's a no-brainer. But I'm baffled. I'm baffled. As far as what this means, somebody said Amy takes part of the responsibility. But the difference is she can't be fired. Yeah, she's in a good position, right? I think she knows J-Rob set us in the right direction, but we can't keep... Yeah, Robinson helped us take another step up, but he hit his ceiling, I think. And also you have to think, guys, oh my goodness, let's recap. Isaiah Wilson, one of the worst draft picks of all time. That's first-round draft pick wasted on him. First-round draft pick on Caleb Farley. Looking like yet another first-round draft pick completely wasted. Second-round pick from 21, right, with Dylan Radins. And for whatever reason, Vrabel just doesn't believe in the guy enough to put him in. That's a draft pick's not looking too good. We had that great 2019 draft, and everybody points to that draft because of how great it was. And yeah, I mean, it did give us Jeffrey Simmons and A.J. Brown and, I think David Long was a part of that draft. It was a great draft. But you look at the rest, and it's iffy at best. The picks we've made. But again, I think Vrabel is kind of responsible for that too. I mean, he has a pretty large say-so in the draft picks. But I will say this: a lot of people are a lot of people are talking about this on Twitter too. So we're showing that we mean business in firing Jon Robinson, but we won't show that we mean business by firing Todd Downing. Like, if you really want to show that we want to win, we want to take the next step. Appreciate that, Sean. Sean Crockett on YouTube just said, "Hey man, great content. Tighten up. Tighten up indeed." You want to show that you mean business by firing Jon Robinson. How about Todd Downing is the next in line? Okay. How about I know the GM, whatever, but I mean, what about the offensive coordinator? I mean, whew, jeez. I don't know. I can't. I hope we don't hire a bozo that's going to come in here and set the organization back, because, like this person said on Twitter, said the Titans have not had a losing season since hiring Jon Robinson as the GM in 2016. They're on the brink of clinching the AFC South once again. From a pure timing standpoint, this is a bit odd. I understand that point of view, but I posted this on Twitter last night, and I hope it makes sense. I'm as glad as anybody that the Titans are not like they were from like 2011 to 2015, when we were just literally the toilet bowl of the NFL. We were constantly 2-14, 3-13. Like, it was just always a disaster. We were a laughingstock. And I'm thrilled that we're not like that anymore. Absolutely. I'm so glad that we're not in that place anymore. But in being glad about that, have the fans set the bar so low that as long as we're not the absolute worst, we're pleased? Yes, what this person's saying is true. We've won the AFC South now, about to be 3 years in a row. We haven't had a losing season. Yeah, and that's good. I mean, it is an improvement. But as I said earlier, it kind of feels like Jon Robinson might have just hit his ceiling. It's like, okay, you've proven you can get us a division title. You've proven that, you can get us in the playoffs, but we need to take the next step, because that our ultimate goal is not just to get to the playoffs and get eliminated. Nobody's goal is just to get to the playoffs and get eliminated. You would hope every team's goal is to eventually win a Super Bowl. And like I said, the Titans are building a new stadium. The Super Bowl is coming to Nashville at some point in the future. And it's time to take the next step. And I think that's what this move says today. Now, from a timing standpoint, it is baffling. It is baffling. Now, I think that the natural thing with this kind of timing would be to say, oh, is there some kind of scandal? Did Jon Robinson get caught up in something? But judging by the statement Amy made, it is very much like, this is a football related thing. This is something that's for the team and for the organization. It has nothing to do with a scandal or anything like that. It's just we want to move forward, take the next step, and pretty much we can't do it with him. And just from a timing standpoint, in the middle of the season, when you are going to be in the playoffs and you are leading your division by like 3 or 4 games, yeah, from a timing standpoint, it is baffling. But the only thing I can surmise is that Vrabel went in there after Sunday and told Amy, like, did you see what we just put out there? Did you see what just happened? You see A.J. Brown, the guy that John traded, whooping our butts? Did you see our secondary that just we don't have any depth and we're getting torched? Did you see our offensive line that couldn't block a dummy standing still? Did you see that? We've got to, if we're going to take the next step, we got to do better than that. And you also have to wonder, like, could a player have said something? Does somebody like Derrick Henry, does he have enough pull in this organization that maybe he went to Vrabel and said, listen, if we ain't going to do no better than this, you're going to have to just release me now. Could somebody like a Jeff Simmons or even a Ryan Tannehill have gone in and been like, Coach, come on now. Come on. Because if there's anything that I could say after Sunday, it's that these players love A.J. Brown. Okay? We saw Derrick Henry said he talks to A.J. regularly. We saw the players, the equipment managers, the coaches, everybody over there talking to A.J. Sunday, man. They don't have a problem in the world with A.J. Brown. They better after Sunday, after what he did. But, they don't, other than Andrew Adams, ain't nobody got a problem with A.J. Brown on the team. And do you think that those players maybe sat there and watched the guy that their GM traded away to Philly? Maybe they sat over there and watched that and said, hey, are we just going to let this guy keep his job when he let that guy go? That guy is saying he wanted to stay. That guy over there in the green uniform is saying he wanted to stay here for the rest of his career, and our GM decided to let him go. Are we just going to let this guy keep his job? It wouldn't shock me at all. Of course, Trey Avery doesn't have the pull to do it, or, Roger McCreary is not going to come in there and say it, but, somebody like Derrick Henry, somebody like Ryan Tannehill, somebody like Jeff Simmons, David Long, Kevin Byard. I mean, these are the kind of guys who have enough pull on this team and have been with Vrabel for 4 years now that maybe, or 3 or 4 years, that felt like maybe if they went to him, I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here, okay? It just happened. Maybe somebody, went in there and was like, hey, something's got to give. This team we got right here ain't good enough. This roster ain't good enough. We can't compete with the Eagles and the Bengals and the Chiefs and the Bills. Like, we can't do that with this crew. And this is a crew that he brought in. Something's got to give. And then maybe Vrabel goes to Amy and says, hey, I got players coming to me saying that, I don't know. But I absolutely think that A.J. Brown is sitting somewhere today with at least a little smirk on his face. Just a little grin. I'm not saying anybody would ever rejoice in somebody losing their job, but I guarantee you, because AJ knows Vrabel didn't want to let him go. You never convinced me. AJ knows Vrabel did not want that trade. Vrabel was the one that went on the Rich Eisen show like 2 days before the trade happened and was like, as long as I'm the coach, you can't tell me. That A.J. Brown trade, the more I think about it, I bet that is reason number one. I guarantee you at that moment right there, when that happened, Vrabel was like, this guy's got to go. This guy's going to have to go. There's no way. Because Vrabel said, as long as I'm the coach of this team, A.J. Brown will be a Tennessee Titan. And then Robinson made a fool of Vrabel when he just did it anyway. Vrabel knew what a stupid trade it was, and I think Vrabel started having his doubts right then. We all watched it. The Bussin' with the Boys Twitter account just tweeted the clip of it. You can go over there and refresh yourself with what it was like. Vrabel literally looked like he could vomit when they traded A.J. Brown. He knew right then and there that this guy just made a terrible decision. And you can't tell me that watching A.J. do what he did to the Tennessee Titans Sunday, you will never convince me that was not the straw that broke the camel's back. For whether that be for Vrabel, for Amy, for some of the players, for all of the above, whatever it was, that was the icing on the cake. As B Ravens 1 in the chat just said, A.J. Brown torching them was definitely the icing on the cake. It was the cherry on top, and it was a big cherry. Mike Herndon on Twitter, just a reminder, John Robinson over the last 3 off seasons, okay, when you put it like this, drafted Isaiah Wilson, 29th overall, horrible. Drafted Darrington Evans, 93rd overall. He's not on the team anymore. Drafted Caleb Farley, 22nd overall. Disaster. Drafted Dylan Radins, 53rd overall. Looking like that ain't going well either. Traded a second and a fourth round pick for Julio Jones, who, I'm not going to get on too bad for that because the fans wanted that one and we were all pumped about it. So I'm not going to fault him too much for that. But traded A.J. Brown away. Idiotic. Signed Bud Dupree to a huge contract. Bud, he does some good things here and there, but that contract they gave him, he should be doing more. Signed Clowney and Vic Beasley to big money deals. Nothing else needs to be said. Cut Saffold without an adequate replacement, and we're seeing the effects of that every single week. Roger Saffold may have been the best offensive lineman on the team, at least second best. A close second maybe to Ben Jones. They let him go, and they did the same thing. They let him go and had no plan to replace him. No plan. Aaron Brewer was their plan. There are other problems, and a few mixed in here and there as well, but ultimately that series of moves led to him losing his job. Absolutely. I mean, when you put it like that, when you put it in a row like that, and you see exactly the moves that this guy's made that's failed, and some of them, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The Julio thing, everybody wanted him to do that. I'm not going to get on him for that. Bud Dupree even, that's just a case of a deal not panning out to be what you needed it to be, because at the end of that 2020 season, the Titans were desperate for somebody to come in and get to the passer. And they were aggressive in going and getting Bud Dupree. I'm not even going to fault him for that. But the draft picks, come on, man. Isaiah Wilson, Caleb Farley, Darrington Evans, Dylan Radins. These are first and second round picks that were absolute busts. We don't know about Traylon Burks yet. The Traylon looks good when he's not getting hit, in the face in the end zone and being put out with a concussion. So that, we have high hopes for him, but man, these are some terrible draft picks he's made. And the Clowney and Vic Beasley thing, and then obviously the A.J. Brown trade. I say it's the cherry on top. It's more than just the cherry on top. It's the entire sundae. It's the entire ice cream sundae right there. Forget cherry on top. I think it's the biggest factor here. That's if you're going to say that was enough for Amy to pull the plug on this guy's, job, then I'm not going to argue with you, because that's a series of significant blunders. And, you miss on Caleb Farley, and look at our secondary. Disaster. You miss on Isaiah Wilson and Dylan Radins, look at our offensive line. Disaster. You trade A.J. Brown, you let Corey Davis walk, look at our wide receiving group. Disaster. I don't know, man. Now, you tell me, how much of that does Vrabel need to take responsibility for? How much of that did he have a say-so in? Is there a case of Vrabel trying to get him to do something else and he won't do it? Like, is it a case of Vrabel and J-Rob butting heads and Robinson not giving Vrabel the kind of talent that he needs on the team? I don't know. I don't know. But this is shocking. Whether you love it or you hate it, this is shocking news out of Nashville, Tennessee today. Jon Robinson relieved of his duties, and yet Todd Downing is still employed. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, somebody said, do you think Adams liked the Malik Willis pick, especially after she saw how poorly he played in the second game? I don't think, I mean, I liked the Malik pick. I'm not giving up on Malik yet. I think that he's not ready to be a starter right now, and I think we all knew that. He had to go play a couple games because Tannehill was hurt. And yeah, he's got such a long way to go. I don't even know if he'll be ready next season. But I will say this. you're not exactly putting a young rookie in a position to succeed with this offensive line and these weapons. Because remember that Chiefs game where he played so poorly? Traylon Burks was not in that game. Kyle Phillips was not in that game. They were not focusing on Chigokonkwo as much as they have been the last couple of games. He was not exactly put in a position to succeed. And yeah, I saw they announced the interim GM. And, like I said, it's interim, so it won't be till the offseason when they hire a new GM. But I hope and pray that Vrabel will have a heavy say-so in who they hire. And I will also say that if you're expecting Vrabel to make a statement about this tomorrow in the press conference, if I know Vrabel, I watch just about every Mike Vrabel press conference. If I know Mike Vrabel, he ain't saying a word. He's going to get up there tomorrow and say he's here to talk about the Jaguars. I'm here to talk about Jacksonville. If you have any questions, talk to Amy. Like, he's not, he may say, like, I appreciate John and everything he's done for the organization. He'll throw out something like that. But if you think Vrabel is going to let you have one bit of a peek behind the curtain, somebody tell Paul Kaharski and all the others, don't even bother being like, hey, Mike, were you and John button heads behind the scenes? He ain't going to tell you. Don't even bother. This is Mike Vrabel we're talking about. Someone said in the chat, B Ravens 1 said Titans have to go O-line or wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, they do. But, I'm growing wary of them taking risk on draft picks that are coming off of huge injuries. That's what they did with Caleb Farley. I mean, he was coming off of a major injury, and they took a chance on him. That didn't pay off, But then again, they took a chance on Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons was coming off a huge injury, and that one did pay off. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I hope whoever they pick in round 1, I hope it is a sure thing and somebody who can come in and play right away. And yeah, I think O-line is probably the greater need right now. If I were them, I'd go offensive line in the first round. I know that's so boring to people when your team picks an offensive lineman in the first round of the draft. I understand that, but watch this offensive line and how bad they are. And the rest of the way, I would prefer to see them just go with Dylan Radins at left tackle. I mean, if he sucks, he sucks, but give him a chance. Give him a chance and put Dennis Daly on the bench. This was an improvised live stream podcast. I was like, I gotta go live with them. I mean, this is just huge news for the Titans. Jon Robinson fired. I'm shocked still. I'm gonna call it a podcast, and we'll be back Friday. Friday I'll be previewing all of the games. Bucks beat the Saints last night, so they're pretty much going to win the NFC South now. But I'll be previewing all of the games this Friday, and then Monday I'll be back recapping them all. I don't know what to tell you. Shocking news today. Tennessee Titans firing Jon Robinson. Thank you guys for hopping on with me today, and I'll see you Friday unless something crazy happens before we could get there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tighten up. Bye, everybody.
Feel free to be